Welcome, everyone. Ready to dive into the world of art with us.
Always excited to talk art.
Today, we're taking a look at this blog post called The World of Art, A Journey Through Creativity. Basically, it's like one person's thoughts on what art means to them.
Sounds intriguing. I'm always curious about how people connect with art personally.
Yeah, and I think this deep dive will be perfect for, well, anyone who's ever thought about like art's impact or how to even begin to appreciate all the different kinds of art out there.
Definitely. Art can feel intimidating if you don't know where to start.
Exactly. And the author starts off with this question that I bet we've all asked ourselves at some point. Are you good at art?
Oh, that's such a loaded question. It brings up all sorts of insecurities, doesn't it?
Right. Like instantly makes you compare yourself to like Michelangelo or something.
Uh-huh. Exactly. But what's interesting is how the author answers that question. They basically say being good at art isn't about being the next Da Vinci.
Oh, I like that. So what is it about then?
It's about self-expression, like using art as a way to communicate your thoughts, feelings, and experiences.
That makes so much more sense. It takes the pressure off, right? You don't
Yeah.
need to be a master to enjoy creating or experiencing art.
Yeah, totally. And the author even shares a funny little story about, their own struggles with trying to like draw realistically and how they eventually realized that it just wasn't their thing.
Oh, I can relate to that. I'm more of a stick figure artist myself.
Well, hey, stick figures can be expressive too. But what's interesting is that this idea of good art being about self-expression opens up a whole can of worms, right?
How so?
Well, because then it becomes like totally subjective. What one person considers good art might be completely different for someone else.
Oh, yeah. Our personal preferences, cultural backgrounds, like even the time period we live in,
Hmm.
it all affects what we see as good art.
Exactly. There's no universal standard. And that's what makes art so fascinating, right? It's this constant dialogue between the artist, the artwork, and the viewer.
So true. It makes me think about how art education fits into all of this. The author actually talks about their childhood art classes, and they even describe like the smell of crayons and the texture of the paper.
Oh, yeah, those sensory memories can be so powerful.
I know. It totally took me back to like elementary school art class.
Hmm.
I could practically smell the glue and hear the crinkling of construction paper.
And it's not just about nostalgia. Research shows that those early art experiences can actually have a big impact on brain development.
Really. So it's more than just like having fun with crayons.
Way more. Art education, even simple stuff like finger painting, actually helps strengthen certain cognitive skills,
Like what?
like problem solving, fine motor skills, even spatial reasoning.
Wow, so it's like wiring our brains for success later on in life.
Exactly. It's laying the foundation for creative thinking and problem solving, which are essential skills no matter what you end up doing in life.
That's incredible. Makes you realize how important those early art experiences really are. What about you? Do you have any early art memories that kind of shaped how you view art today?
Hmm.
Let me think.
Back again for more art talk. The blog's author, they were really into Impressionism. And honestly, I've always found it a little, I don't know, blurry. Like, what is it about this style that makes it so captivating? I mean, people really love it.
Oh, but that blurriness, right, that's kind of the magic of it.
Really?
Yeah, because Impressionists, they weren't about like super realistic details. They were more interested in those fleeting moments.
Fleeting moments.
Yeah, like think about light shimmering on water, or a
Yeah.
crowd of people moving, or the way a sunset changes so quickly.
Oh, okay, I see. So they weren't trying to like freeze a scene in time. They were trying to capture the feeling of it.
Exactly. They wanted to give you an impression of what it felt like to be there in that moment.
So that's why it's called Impressionism. Uh-huh, yep. It's all about the impression, not the perfect representation. And they did this with these short, visible brushstrokes, and they used brighter colors than what was like typical back then.
So it was pretty different from the art that was popular at the time.
Yeah, definitely a big change. Back then, most paintings were super smooth and detailed, almost photographic.
Yeah. So Impressionism must have been pretty shocking when it first appeared.
Oh, absolutely. Imagine you're an art critic back in the late 1800s, right? You're used to seeing these perfectly polished paintings, and then suddenly you see these impressionist works with all the brushstrokes showing and these scenes from everyday life, not like grand historical events or anything.
It must have been a huge shift for the art world. Kind of like, I don't know, the art world's punk rock movement or something.
Ah, yeah, I like that analogy. But speaking of art that can be a little jarring at first, The author also mentioned being intrigued by abstract art.
Oh, abstract art. Yeah, that can be a little
Yeah.
tough to understand sometimes. I remember the first time I saw a Jackson Pollock painting, I literally thought, my kid could do that.
Huh. I think we've all had that thought at some point, right?
Yeah, probably.
It's challenging because it's not about recognizing objects or scenes. It's about using things like color, shape, and line to express emotions and ideas.
Okay, so it's not about what you see, it's about how it makes you feel.
Exactly. Think of it like music. You don't need lyrics to feel the emotion in a symphony, right?
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Hmm.
So instead of showing you a tree, an abstract artist might use like swirling lines and green colors to make you feel like you're in a forest.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a deeper level of expression. And the viewer, you get to bring your own interpretations and experiences to the work.
So there are no right or wrong answers when it comes to abstract art.
Nope. It's all about what you bring to it. And I think that's what makes it so exciting. It's like this back and forth between the artist and the viewer.
I like that. Okay, so from those dreamy impressionist scenes to the more emotional abstract stuff, the blog also talked about street art, which seems to be like everywhere these days.
Yeah, it's really exploded in popularity. What's cool about street art is that it takes art out of those, traditional spaces,
Yeah.
like the museums and galleries.
Yeah, and it brings it right into our everyday lives.
Exactly. You could be walking down the street and suddenly you see this, amazing mural or some crazy installation. It's just there.
It's like art is coming to us
Yeah.
instead of the other way around.
Right. And it's not just like paintings on walls either. It's performance art, installations, all sorts of stuff.
And they often use their surroundings too, right? Like
Huh?
making the existing structures part of the art itself.
Yeah, definitely. It's about transforming these everyday spaces into something surprising and beautiful.
Hmm.
But street art can also be, a lot more than just pretty pictures.
What do you mean?
Well, it's often used as a way to make social or political statements, like raising awareness for important issues and stuff.
Oh, right. Like Banksy.
Yeah.
Their work is always making people think about, political and social problems.
Exactly. And because it's so public, it can really spark a conversation. Street art can also be a way to, kind of reclaim public spaces, like taking a rundown area and making it vibrant and full of life again.
Yeah, turning those neglected corners into something beautiful and meaningful. So we've gone from those impressionist landscapes to abstract emotions, and now street art with all its social messages. That's quite a journey through the art world.
And it's just a tiny taste of what's out there. I mean, there's so many other styles, movements, and mediums to explore, each one with its own, unique perspective and story.
It's incredible how much creativity and expression there is in the art world.
Yeah.
It's definitely not a one-size-fits-all thing.
For sure. It's like this huge, ever-evolving tapestry made up of all these different threads. And as we move into the last part of our deep dive, we'll zoom out even further. Look at the role art plays in society as a whole.
Yeah, how it reflects our history, our values, and even how it can shape the future. I'm excited to get into that. All right, welcome back for the final part of our art deep dive. So we've talked about personal experiences with art, the different types of art out there, and now we're going to zoom out and look at how art connects to society as a whole, right?
Exactly. And, it's amazing how art acts like a mirror,
Yeah.
reflecting all the values, beliefs, even the worries of the time it was made in.
Okay, yeah, I see that.
Think about ancient Egyptian art, right? All those pharaohs and gods and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it tells us a lot about what they believed in and how their society worked. Then you fast forward to the Renaissance, and suddenly art is all about humanism and realism and celebrating the individual.
It's like each time period kind of leaves its mark on the art, right?
Yeah.
Like a visual history book almost.
Yeah, exactly. It's a way to travel through time, understand different cultures, see the world through their eyes.
It makes history come alive in a way.
Yeah.
But this link between art and society, it's not just a thing of the past, right?
Oh, definitely not. Art is always responding to what's happening in the world. Look at contemporary art today. It's dealing with climate change, social justice, political stuff.
So artists are still using their work to make statements, spark debate, and hopefully even inspire change.
Absolutely. And the author didn't go into specifics, but there are so many examples of art actually shaping societal conversations or even movements.
Oh, like what?
Well, there's that powerful anti-war painting, Guernica, by Picasso. You know that one.
Yeah, I've seen it.
It showed the horrors of a bombing during the Spanish Civil War, and it became like a worldwide symbol of the devastation of war.
Wow, so powerful.
Or think about the AIDS memorial quilt,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That was a collaborative artwork made to remember all the people who died from AIDS. It brought attention to a community that was really marginalized and helped people see them as, individuals, not just statistics.
Art can definitely be more than just something pretty to look at, huh?
For sure. It can be a powerful tool for social change.
Speaking of changing things, the author also touched on how accessible art has become. It's crazy how technology has made it so much easier to experience art.
It really has. I mean, social media lets artists share their work with the entire world now. No need for those fancy galleries or anything.
Yeah, you can discover amazing art from all over just by looking at your phone. Plus all the online galleries and virtual museum tours. Makes art available to people who might never get to visit those places in person. It really has opened up the art world for everyone. Though I do wonder if seeing art on a screen, if it's really the same as experiencing it in person.
Ah, that's a good point. There's definitely something special about being in the same room with a piece of art. Feeling the scale of a sculpture, seeing the texture of a painting up close. It's way more immersive.
Yeah, you really feel the presence of the artwork, right?
Exactly. But technology also lets you do things you can't do in person. Like, you can zoom in on details, learn about the artist's process, even connect with other art fans online.
So it's like there are pros and cons to both ways of experiencing art.
Exactly. It's just different.
This has been such an interesting deep dive. It's clear that art isn't just something you see in a museum. It's everywhere, reflecting our history, shaping our present, and maybe even giving us a glimpse of the future.
Art is a way to connect with what it means to be human, to feel emotions, understand different viewpoints, and find meaning in the world around us.
And we can all be a part of it, whether it's making our own art, supporting local artists, or just taking a moment to appreciate the beauty and creativity that's all around us.
So, like the author said, go explore. Check out a gallery, find some cool street art, go to a show, or just notice the little bits of art you see every day.
Keep those curious minds going. And we'll catch you on the next deep dive, ready to explore something new.